Transworld Dome in St. Louis. It's round number 11 of the AMA 4-parts Unlimited Supercross Series. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman, along with David Bailey, Marty Reed, getting ready right to the action now. The qualifying procedure is as follows. The top 4 riders from each of the 2 qualifying rounds advance directly to the main event. The rest of the field goes on to the semifinals, where the top 5 from each race get the transfer to the main. Then there's only one more opportunity to be eligible for a share of the purse money. The top 2 riders from the last chance qualifier fill out the field of 20 riders for the 250. The 32nd board is up for our first qualifying heat. It's Jeremy McGrath, Larry Ward, Mike LaRocco, Greg Albertine, Ryan Huffman, who's got some good quick starts out of Roseburg, Oregon. Robbie Rayner, number 24, as you see. Albertine, number 8, getting ready.
Looks pretty fidgety. See these guys fiddling with the sleeves of their jersey. They make sure that sometimes they loosen up their forearms on the handlebars.
Okay, the gate can drop any second now for our first qualifying heat from the St. Louis Supercross. They're off. McGrath, a good start on the inside. Nothing but Suzuki's out front. Jeremy McGrath, the whole shot. Getting mixed up is Jeff Hedden in the group. Number 24, Robbie Rayner in second place. And it is Mike LaRocco getting bounced back to 4th. Cutting in front was Buddy Antonez.
I think he's got title up back there for LaRocco and Antonez. Almost going down. A good save.
McGrath, Rayner, and Ward, your top 3. Buddy Antonez in 4th. There you see number 24, Robbie Rayner, the Primal Honda, putting some pressure on Jeremy McGrath here in the opening.
Now he's putting a lot more than just pressure. He's running into the back of him. His first ride on 250 in a while. I like to see Rayner on 250. He hasn't had the best of luck on the 125 through his career. I think we would have expected, and so would he, some better results up to this point. But on the 250, maybe it'll be a whole new ball game.
Albertine, as you saw come over the start-finish line, is moved in front of his teammate, Mike LaRocco, into 5th position. Right now, Jeremy McGrath and Robbie Rayner out front. It's going to be interesting to see how Rayner adjusts to the 250, David. Oh,
so far he looks good. If he can just stay in contact with Jeremy, learn just a little bit, get into that flow and that pace, that rhythm. The faster you go, especially following somebody like McGrath, that track gets a little busier. If you get into that timing, you can keep it through the night.
Larry Ward moving up to 3rd in the point standings after a 5th place finish in Orlando. As we take a look at LaRocco battling it out, Antonez is behind LaRocco.
Well, Albertine looked like he had the whole shot. Jeremy stole it away. Taking the inside to the first corner, kind of bumped Albertine out. And look what's happened in just the first few laps. Already lost a couple of spots. Could be running right with his teammate, but it all got settled in the first corner. It's a tricky first turn with those 3 rollers in it.
Lap time for McGrath of 52.5.
A little quicker than in practice. In practice, the track was quite a bit more rutted. Just before the start of this race, they had the dozers out there to work. You can see the ruts in the face of that jump.
What's wrong with LaRocco? We've got McGrath, Robbie Rayner, Larry Ward, and Albertine in the top 4 positions. Only 4 qualify to go to the main event after this first qualifying round. Antonez goes down in the corner.
Just touched the top of that jump a little bit, and that just, he lost all the traction to the front end. He was already leaned in.
Tough luck for a very successful year for Buddy Antonez in arena cross action, David.
He's had a good time of it, but this is a whole different ball game. A lot more track to cover, a lot more technical. And you ask about LaRocco. What's wrong with LaRocco? Well, in the first lap, I talked about if Rayner could stay in contact with Jeremy and get into that flow and that timing, how much that would help. And I think it hurt LaRocco in the first straightaway or 2 in that corner to get tangled, almost going down. Sometimes that messes up your timing, and if you can't see the leaders, well, you can see how far back is there on the leaderboard, 5th. You can't see those guys in front of him to figure out what they're doing.
And it's his teammate, Greg Albertine, who's penciled himself in for the final transfer spot. Who will get the first choices at the gate positions for that main event? Well, racing continues after this. Qualifying round number 1. Jeremy McGrath is our leader, but we've got a battle going on right now as Robbie Rayner falls to 3rd. Larry Ward moving into 2nd place. Greg Albertine still in 4th. And still struggling to catch up on the bubble is Mike LaRocco in 5th.
Look at the lead right now. Larry Ward already put on Raynard. Going after Jeremy. He's got him in his sights. It looks to me like Raynard is playing things smart here. He doesn't need to go out and set the world on fire in this heat race. Larry Ward came strong, got by him. Just make the main and...
Let's go down to our cohort trackside, Marty Reed.
Yeah, you were mentioning about Larry Ward, and talked to him before the race tonight, and he basically said, hey, you know, everybody's been injured. What's your story? If you remember, in the beginning of the season, it was he that was coming off the injured list, and now he's feeling pretty good, and he felt like tonight could be it.
Well, if it is, it would be his 2nd win of his career, the 1st of the season for him, and his 3rd podium. But that remains to be seen. Larry Ward has been able to get good starts in his racing, David, but has not been able to be there at the end of the race. Look who's coming on. Greg Albertine wants a better gate position. He passes Robbie Raynard very cleanly.
Got around him no problem before the mechanics area. That line going through the mechanics area across the start gets pushed out closer to their toes every lap. These guys trying to maintain their momentum through there, and Albertine just making up for getting a little bit short into the stick to that first couple of turns of this race, but now he's found his rhythm, and Raynard's the one that's starting to fade just a bit. He's still in a qualifying position for the main.
You know, part of this track looks hard as a rock, and the other looks like almost sand.
Yeah, it's tough, I think, to get the bike set up just right. You see guys looking really good here and there, and they get to another section and have a little trouble with it.
Ian Harrison with a smile on his face because his rider, number 8, Greg Albertine, is in a good position right now to qualify for the main event. Stumbling a bit, Larry Ward. Albertine that now is about 3 seconds behind him in 3rd. There's our leader, Jeremy McGrath, number 1. McGrath is primed to come back and win his 2nd of the year right now. With Emig slightly injured, he went over the bars in practice, got a groin injury when he came back and tried to ride. Wyatt Seals, Jeremy McGrath's mechanic.
Jeremy working his way through all those lapped riders. See how he leans his body in. He's able to keep the power on. The bike has a tendency when you get into those berms and get up back on the gas to stand up straight. Jeremy keeps it leaned in. You can see him there waving to the crowd. He hasn't made any mistakes in this race.
Jeremy McGrath having a good time going to showtime here in the final lap of qualifying heat number 1.
We may just see a knack-knack before it's over with. We haven't seen that many this year.
Jeremy McGrath, 15th in his first race of the year in Los Angeles, after just building his bike about a week in advance of the opening of the season. Jeremy McGrath, no one has come back from that far after the first round and won a Supercross championship. The longest before was Jeff Stanton, who took a 7th in the opening round one year. Came back in 1990. Checkered flag for Jeremy. And, of course, Stanton winning the championship that year. McGrath celebrating. And Marty Reed talks with our winner coming up next. It's the Trans Am Dome. Jeremy McGrath, Larry Ward, Greg Albertine, and Robbie Raynard qualifying. Raynard, a 125 rider out of the West Coast, hopped on a 250 and qualified for the main event here in the first qualifying heat. Let's go down to Marty.
Well, this is where the streak ended last year, and I have a feeling a statement was just made that it isn't going to be that way this year. Great ride, good start.
Yeah, I hope I didn't waste my start there. I mean, I got a good start. I was like first one in a few weeks, so if I can do the same thing in the main event, I'll be really happy. You know, my bike's running really good. Suzuki's doing great, and you know, if I get another one of those starts, I'll be proud.
I promise this is the only time I'll ask this all night. How much are you thinking about last year heading into today?
Well, you know, St. Louis is a memorable race for me. Last year I lost on the streak, but you know, this year it's a whole different story. I'm not dominating like I was last year. I'm being really consistent, and you know, I've been trying to win. It's just a little bit tougher, a little bit, you know, the guys are getting quicker, and you know, I just want to go out and hopefully St. Louis I can win here for the first time.
Jeremy McGrath, heat winner, number 1.
Thanks, Marty. As we look at Jeff Emig. Emig, this is the return to the site of his monumental, historic upset over McGrath last year.
Yeah, definitely the Supercross at St. Louis last year was a big boost, you know, of emotional power, and you know, being in my home state and all that sort of jazz, family, friends, you know, people that I used to race against were here, and I just see there being more of that. I have more of my family coming down. I've got family members, my grandmother, my aunt and uncle, their kids. you know, we're coming down, you know, and of course my dad and my brother, you know, who are two of my biggest supporters, they'll be here also. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, that's, I mean, this is what I want out of this race, you know. I want to have that emotional charge. I want, you know, I want the whole crowd to be behind me and to say, hey, look, you know, we're here for you and we want you to win this damn championship.
Jethro is less than par, David Bailey, as he went over the bars we mentioned in yesterday's practice and then pulled a groin after that. I know Marty saw all the action happening during the practice sessions, and Marty, he's really concerned about that groin.
Yes, he is. In fact, I talked to him just before the start. In fact, after first practice, he was really in bad shape. I mean, he could not stretch it out. It went from just being a deep thigh bruise into a full groin pull. So they went with a lot of heat treatment, and now he's still stretching it even as he's getting into the starting gate. But his confidence factor came up after the first or second practice, where he was finally able to make the triples. And we're going to find out now, because he's going to put everything into this. He does not want to have to go through the semi-heat, so he wants to get into the main event right now.
I know you've been in that position, David Bailey. What's it like when you know you've got a limitation physically and you've got to do it?
Well, there's no choice, really. You just know that you're going to have to endure the pain and if it continues. But what may be a blessing here for Jeff is that instead of worrying about having the points lead, he's got this little thing that's going to kind of keep him sidetracked. Maybe it's going to take some of the pressure off. He'll be so busy thinking of that, he'll end up going out and riding a pretty decent race.
There's Ezra Lusk getting set for our second qualifying round. Ryan Hughes coming off an injury 2 races ago. He's getting the helmet, the goggles in position, getting ready to go. Jeff Emig, Lusk, Jimmy Button, Damon Bradshaw, Ryan Hughes, Phil Lawrence, Cliff Palmer, Todd DeHoop, an interesting name out of Hudsonville, Michigan, trying to qualify right now. Kevin Crine, Grayson Goodman also won the semifinal round last week.
And looking at Ryan Hughes, we just got a shot of him there from the back, and he was very aggressive in the heat race and in the main event last week, getting the hole shot, moving into the lead quick. See if he can do it here.
Okay, we're all set to go for our second qualifying round. They're off. Let's see who will get the hole shot. Jeff Emig in good position. Bradshaw to the inside, number 10. Emig, number 3, goes wide. It's Emig taking the lead from Bradshaw. Lusk in third. It is Lawrence in fourth with his teammate Jimmy Button, and he looks back to see where Button is. Oh, after last week's qualifying where Button ran him off the track.
And Bradshaw and Emig still haven't sorted themselves out yet. It looks like Bradshaw.
What a move by Bradshaw.
Just as they went out of that camera, right in the inside of that corner right there, that blind spot, Bradshaw had the inside. Emig had to just give it to him.
Bradshaw taking advantage of what looks like a slightly wounded Jeff Emig on his moves. He's not riding as smoothly.
Well, he looked good through that first corner. It looked like Bradshaw had the inside there, and he blitzed around the outside, grabbed the lead, then in the next turn after the triple, the same thing again, but Bradshaw just didn't give up on it.
David, knowing that this pain is going to exist throughout the race, it was almost like he knows he has to be out in front and then hold on. We're looking right now at Lusk and Lawrence, but right now Emig has taken over the lead, and Bradshaw comes back and puts Emig down. Bradshaw goes down. Oh, my goodness. Bradshaw went into block pass Emig and put himself down. And you see there now they're tugging and pushing at each other.
Well, Emig was just trying to get room for his foot between the two guys to start the bike. Bradshaw was in the way, and I think he got a little irritated. Here's another look. Bradshaw goes in. I don't know if he meant for it to be...
Looked like he just slid out.
To take him out, but it sure looked like it as he headed into the corner. There was nowhere for Emig to go, and you can see Emig like, let's go right here. He knows that he can't waste any time throwing punches, but this is going to be very costly.
As we pick up the action now, Ezra Lusk is in front with Lawrence in second and Ryan Hughes in third. It is a 1-2-3 freight train with Jimmy Button in fourth. That would be the top 4 positions to qualify. Cliff Palmer is on the bubble in fifth with Grayson Goodman in sixth. And way back, trying to fight his way back, is Jeff Emig. This is not what he had in mind.
No, this is disastrous, but maybe it'll be just what he needs. You know, you've always got to take what's happened and try to turn it into a positive, into your favor. That's what they'll be doing at that semi before the main event.
Marty, what about your thoughts, trackside?
Well, this is exactly what Emick did not want to have to do. He's running 8th right now. He's 15 seconds behind the leader. And right now, if he doesn't pick up 4 miraculous spots, he's going to the semi, which means more pressure on that injured leg. One other guy we got to talk about, the man who's up front, Ezra Lusk. He hit very hard today, bruised some ribs. I asked him right before the heat race, how you feeling? He says, a little tough to breathe, but as long as I don't get any real physical contact, it should be okay.
Qualifying continues from St. Louis in just a moment. Second qualifying round, Phil Lawrence is hounding Ezra Lusk for the lead here in our second qualifying round from St. Louis.
Lawrence definitely got things dialed in, feeling pretty comfortable. There's Lusk's mechanic.
Stephen Butler.
You got to look at Lusk. Rider down there on the edge of the racetrack. The flagger's just trying to move him over. Ryan Hughes still staying in contact with these guys, and they're lapping Bradshaw. You can see over to the left, but Lawrence is hanging with Lusk. Lusk is riding good. He's coming off a win. He's got to be riding with some confidence. And Lawrence is right there, so he's definitely got things sorted out over there at Chaparral.
It took Lusk a lot longer to get his first 250 victory than he would have liked. But it sure was sweet last week as he holds up the banner for Yamaha. Everyone else is injured on the Yamaha team, including John Dowd, who's unable to run in the 125 here today.
Well, just as they come out of that corner, Lusk getting over that little camel hump, which gives him a little bit better run and more time to concentrate on the face of that triple jump, which is starting to get rutted. Lawrence and Hughes are starting to mimic some of the lines of Lusk.
It's pretty well defined right now. You've got 3 in the freight train with Jimmy Button a long ways behind, but Cliff Palmer's not pressuring Button at all. So it looks like with lap times around 54.5 seconds here in the second qualifying heat, as we see Ryan Hughes trying to catch up and get second place on Phil Lawrence, zipping through the whoops. Magnificent performance through those rough whoops.
Right, and as soon as you get through the end of him, you make a hard left and go right back through more. A different timing. The guys that are getting through there quick are jumping 3 or 4 at a time over all those rutted ones. And it's, yeah, they've sorted themselves out somewhat, but nothing's ever really sorted out and comfortable until the checkered flag throws, especially when you got Ryan Hughes in the mix. It definitely looks like he wants to get around Phil.
Hughes, though, being a little more cautious than his Rhino reputation of the past, has had a rough season of it.
I think that's starting to catch up with him. He's starting to learn. It's just a heat race, but there's his signal. Do it. Get around this guy. They ride together during the week. They know each other pretty well. They know what to do to hold each other off. But Hughes a little stronger through this whoop section, I think.
Ryan Hughes gets the edge. Lawrence to the inside. Tire to tire. Lawrence getting a good hop, skip, and a jump. But Ryan goes to the inside, and Ryan Hughes on the white flag lap takes over second place. He's not that far behind Ezra Lusk here on the final lap. He's only about 6 bike lengths as they go into number 1 triple.
Still close. It's a long triple jump. They get a good run at it.
What a great shot in flight, that camera down on the triple, as Ezra Lusk looking forward to a heat victory here today.
Just picking up where he left off, leading. Rode so good last week, and with his injuries and his breathing, doesn't give him too much trouble tonight. He gets a good start. Could give McGrath a run for his money, and for Emick, this could be a really long night.
In the whoops once again, can Hughes catch up with Ezra Lusk? Coming out of this second set of whoops, the right turn and the checkered flag for Ezra Lusk, his 3rd heat win in qualifying this year. 4 more riders will have qualified for the main. Marty from the victory podium next. Ryan Hughes, number 9, making the pass on number 12, Phil Lawrence of Team Chaparral. Team Kawasaki taking second place here. Ryan Hughes to Ezra Lusk, winning our qualifying heat. 8 riders have now qualified for the main, and they've selected the choice gates. Let's go down to Marty.
Yeah, bruised ribs and all. all, he rides a very strong heat race. First off, congratulations. Secondly, how bad are the ribs right now?
Well, first of all, yeah, it wasn't too pretty out there, but I was just trying to hold on and win the race and not make any mistakes. And I don't know, the ribs make it a little hard to breathe, but I think I'll be all right. I mean,
are you going to be able to go 20 laps? Are you going to have enough air?
We'll see. I'm definitely, ready for it. And coming off the win last week, I'm stoked about racing, and it'll be all right.
Well, the best thing about it, guys, unlike Jeff Emig, he's going to get to rest for the rest of the night until the main.
That's right, Marty. Good point. It's on to the semis when we return to the Trans World Dome in St. Louis. Before we get to our semifinal round here in St. Louis, the Supercross action, David Bailey, the Suzuki track map shows us that we've got another terrifically long start.
That's certainly right. We got one of the longest ones we've seen so far. We're going to get just into fourth gear, but they've tried to angle the gate so it's fair for the guys in the far inside and the far outside. Then into a wide first turn with 3 rollers in it. So you can make up for a bad start right there. Then you've got the triples on both sides of the stadium, and before the finish, 2 long straightaways full of whoop-de-doos that are starting to get rutted and create all the problems for these guys.
The biggest name, of course, in our first semifinal round is Mike LaRocco from South Bend, Indiana. Ryan Huffman also getting good starts this year. Buddy Antonez, Corey Keeney, James Eichel, Michael Jones. We've seen him up front in some qualifying rounds. Pocaroba, Anthony Pocaroba, one of those who had to qualify in the afternoon, as did Buddy Antonez, who came out of the arena cross action. Looked pretty good in that first qualifying heat until he ran into problems. We're ready to go now for semifinal number 1. They're off and running. Antonez, number 19, to the inside, but it's 74 out in front. Jeff Hedden on the Suzuki. Right behind him, number 47 is Ryan Huffman. And in 53, Corey Keeney, a 125 rider, trying his best in 250s. Buddy Antonez is right alongside Keeney.
At the tail end of this big lead groove, you've got Mike LaRocco just starting to work his way up. Right behind Antonez and Keeney. Has nowhere to go. All the best lines are taken.
Top 5 make it to the main event, out of the semifinal round, and right now Mike LaRocco is in 5th position.
There he is, just creeping into the picture behind Keeney and Antonez. You can see that there's 2 lines through that whoop section, which is good news. That's going to get rougher and rougher later on. And I like the fact that so far, anyways, they haven't touched it with the dozer.
That's a good point, David Bailey. They've done a lot of dozer work between heats, but those ruts are getting vicious.
No, it's important to just dress up the faces of these triple jumps. That's what the crowd pays to see. Part of it, anyway, is to see the big air these guys get. And when the face of that gets rutted like it is, it's tough to jump.
Antonez taking on Hedden, number 74. Buddy Antonez on a Honda. And Mike LaRocco has moved into 4th.
I'd sure like to see LaRocco a little further up in the running in a semi.
Get a better position at that gate.
Well, he got into the corner pretty good as Antonez works his way to the inside. There's the 2 lines we talked about. The guy on the outside gets to go back, get a little bit better run at that second straightaway full of whoops. Sometimes that's paid out in the end. They also get to the inside before the finish line, so I have a feeling we're going to see some action there before the night's over. And there's LaRocco.
Number 5 having some problems in the whoops, dropping 6 seconds behind the leader, David.
Well, he doesn't seem to be riding anyway yet the way that he has been lately, and especially the way he rode here last year in the main event, really posing problems to Jeremy.
Well, as we take a look at Team Suzuki's number 5, let's see what Marty has.
Well, I talked to Mike right before the start of the heat race. I asked him, I said, did you have any kind of mechanical back in heat number 1 that you ran in? He said, no, the bike's just not coming off the corners real well, and it looks like he's still got the same problem. Watch him coming off the corners, David, see if you agree.
Well, he got out of that corner okay. He got a little wheel spin, but he wanted to cut that corner pretty sharp, use the inside. Makes the pass, no problem. And, you know, a lot of the guys probably are having the same feeling out there because the soil, from what I can see anyway, looks soft, looks like it's got great traction, but it's also very sticky.
As we look at LaRocco move into 3rd, we've got a pretty good battle going on for the lead right now, as Ryan Huffman, number 47, is being challenged by number 19. Buddy Antonez. 12 more spots at the gate are still up for grabs. We'll find out which 5 make the transfer from our first semifinal round in a moment. From the St. Louis Supercross, these 5 riders make it to the main event out of our first semifinal round, and Marty's with the winner, Ryan Huffman. Marty Reed.
Yeah, and the smile on the face for the first semi-heat win of his career. Ryan Huffman took advantage of the situation and put away Mike LaRocco and Buddy Antunez. Nice ride.
Yeah, I felt really good. I got a good start. In the heat, I got a bad start, but I stuck there with LaRocco, learned some good lines. Got out there in the semi, got a good start and won. Buddy Antunez was right on me, but I held it for a win. It feels great.
So good enough that you'd like to do it again?
Oh yeah, I'd like to be out there in the main and get a real good finish. I want to beat some of the factory guys. That's what it's all about.
We'll see him in that main event, guys.
Okay, Marty. 1997 has been the most successful year in the history of Supercross. More than 500,000 fans have attended in person, and TV viewership is better than ever. In the first of a 2-part feature, we look into the reasons why.
We're pleasantly amazed by it. 62,000 in Phoenix, 60,000 in Minneapolis in 0-degree weather. I don't know that we could be any more pleased with where we are right now.
Obviously, it's because of the riders.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind it's imaginative racetrack design.
Obviously, I think it's the great television coverage.
It's because of the new winners this year. No, I think it's because of the old winners. Definitely the new up-and-comers and my heel clickers.
There's truth in all the aforementioned. We've experienced the evolution of a family sport becoming recognized as a legitimate athletic event, while at the same time perceived as an outstanding form of entertainment.
I think we've taken on more of a legitimacy. In the past, I believe that some of the stadiums and some of the markets we've gone into have seen us as spectacle rather than sport.
Every sport needs a superstar to attract outside attention, and Jeremy McGrath did for Supercross what Tiger Woods is now doing for golf. McGrath's 4-year reign of the sport, topped off with winning an incredible 14 of 15 in 1996, created the superstar Supercross needed.
So the sport kind of went through a little lull because of basic guys like us. The racing didn't change. I mean, we were going as fast as they are now, and Rick Johnson did back then. But there wasn't a pizzazz person winning.
McGrath was a figure the fans and media found attractive.
You know, people started to recognize who I was, and I don't know, I think it's kind of small, the change that it makes, but now it's really big. A lot of people know my name, and pretty surprising.
We're getting so much TV coverage and magazine coverage and all that stuff, and it lets everybody know, hey, this is a really fun sport. You gotta come try this.
Following McGrath's pinning of the audience meters, 1997 has turned into the greatest of competitive seasons. 6 different winners in 10 rounds has given fans a new reason to follow the sport.
As long as we have a year like we're having in 97, and we have 5 or 6 different winners and not one person dominating, the participation in the crowd is going to keep going up and up.
Fans who once came to see if McGrath would lose are now coming to see if he'll win.
My name's been around for 4 years now, and they were kind of getting bored of it. And then now I switched teams and things weren't going my way in the beginning of the series, and everyone wanted to see me win again.
Having Jeremy win so many races last year, and now he's only won 1. So everybody wants to tune in to see if he can win another.
The bar-to-bar drama on the track certainly is reason alone to popularize the sport. But lower ticket prices, emergence of independent teams, and television are also other premises for the record number of fans. And what about the future of the sport?
I think this year is the start of where we're headed.
Getting ready for the start of semifinal number 2, we look into the eyes of Jeff Emig. This is not a place that he wanted to be into, David Bailey, because of the injuries suffered in practice earlier in the day. But in order to make the main event, I have a feeling he's going to try to get out there and get the whole shot and hang on and get a good gate position.
Well, he certainly do that, and he should be able to handle this semi. The question is, what does Bradshaw have to dish out for him? Because
that's true.
In the heat race, it looked like they were battling for the whole shot and then really close together. And finally, Bradshaw, you see here working on his goggles, just slipped in front. And then into the first turn, Emig came back strong in a real aggressive pass. I think it caught Damon by surprise, and he went in and tried to return the favor. I don't think he meant to knock Emig down. Certainly looked aggressive, but now these guys got to ride 8 more laps.
Emig. Look of concentration on his face.
You know, it's you definitely don't want to have to come out of the semi, especially being the series leader. However, the longer he sits, the more that groin pull and those bruised thighs would tend to tense up. So in order to keep that loose, maybe it's a good thing he's in this semi and go out there and get the track a little bit more wired. And with the starts he gets, I don't think it's going to matter where he lines up, Art.
In between DeHoop and Grayson Goodman is Jeff Emig. Cliff Palmer also in this matchup. Jason Thomas, Kevin Krein, Jock Duluth. A host of riders looking for the opportunity to make tonight's main event from the Transworld Dome here in St. Louis.
You see to the left of the starters box out there in the yellows, Damon Bradshaw. Emig right here just to the inside of that, what we call the doghouse. And I would imagine these guys are going to come together in the first turn.
Well, we'll see what happens then when the two rivals meet. Semi-final number 2 underway, and by golly, they're side by side. Emig gets the whole shot angle, though. Grayson Goodman 150 right behind him. Damon Bradshaw battling Goodman bar to bar.
Emig already starting to look around off that triple gun. Where's that number 10?
Here he comes.
Looks
number
just like
10 to the inside, yes.
This time Emig's got the left side down that straightaway, which should pay off in the end, but I hope these guys are a little more careful with each other this time.
Marty Reed, we've got another battle between these two guys underway.
Yeah, and I went to Jeremy or to Jeff right before the race. I said, hey, was there anything said back in the pits? He says, no, I know he didn't mean it. I got to concentrate on what I got to do. But I'm still wondering if he's thinking the same thing that you guys are talking about up there.
That's correct. It's right now Jeff Emig completing the first lap with Bradshaw a close second place. Grayson Goodman in third.
It did look aggressive by Bradshaw to get in there when they both went down, but you know that took him out of the lead as well. So I know he didn't mean to.
In fourth is Kevin Krein. In fifth is Mike Catton Jr. And then Palmer is after him. But right now, you see Grayson Goodman on our screen. We switch back to the leader, Jeff Emig with Damon Bradshaw. Now Bradshaw really quietly got his best finish of the year last week, moving up from a 6th position after an awful start in 12th.
Right, and it just proves that he does have the speed. It's just been making a little bit better decisions at the crucial times in the race in order to stay out of trouble.
Sitting out the Minnesota race with an injury, came back with a 7th, tied for the whole shot really in Houston, and then got his 6th in the last race in Orlando. Emig now starting to pull a little lead, but Bradshaw catches up in certain portions of the track.
I think both these guys right now are just putting a little bit more track time in. They're getting comfortable with where the lines are changing. Each time they go out there and move the dirt around with the dozers and fix the faces of the jumps, it changes everything just a little bit.
There you see our field summary. The semifinal number 2 qualifying round. We'll see the checkers when we come back. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Marty Reed from the Transworld Dome in St. Louis in the midst of our second semifinal. And right now, it's a pretty good battle between Jeff Emig, number 3, and Damon Bradshaw. Two riders who really didn't want to be here in the semifinal round, but collided in their qualifying heat.
And this is good practice for both these guys, for Damon to get out there and try to hang with Emig and learn a little bit from him if he can, and for Emig to try to hold off somebody charging that's a threat. And he's going to have to do more of that in the main event. I can't imagine Emig getting the whole shot and just pulling away the way McGrath's riding tonight. So it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to get out there and deal with the pressure and see how well you can handle it.
Grayson Goodman from the SMP Pro Circuit team. As we look down in the mechanics area, go back to our leader, Jeff Emig. Jeff Emig really starting to rip it out. I think he's totally lost any focus at all of a pain or an injury the way he's riding. Bradshaw just almost clipped his rear tire.
And Bradshaw starting to search around for different lines not to follow, and Emig is taking the lap times down to 53. It looked like his mechanic was saying pick it up a little bit more. It's not fast enough as Bradshaw grabbed the hold of a hay bale.
Left it behind, didn't he? As we're looking at Grayson Goodman in third. Number 36 coming up on him is Kevin Krein out of Mechanicsville, Maryland on the Suzuki.
Looks like Krein just got past as they went down that start chute. by Palmer, so he moves back a spot. And for Grayson, it looks like second week in a row he'll be in the 250 main if he can hang on here.
After the hay bale incident, Marty Reed, Bradshaw finds himself 3.5 seconds, now 4 behind Jeff Emig.
Yeah, and I was watching the lap times, and right now Jeff Emig is running his fastest of the weekend, but that's a 53.5-second lap, and that's over a second slower than Jeremy McGrath ran in his heat race. So we now know that Jeff Emig's going to have to come up with something else if he's going to have something to handle Jeremy McGrath.
All right, our leaders, Jeff Emig and Damon Bradshaw, just came over the finish line jump a few seconds ago, getting the white flag. This is the final lap, and there goes a potential qualifier down to the dirt. Catton has hit the dust.
Be careful how they pick that bike up, because his back is right near the exhaust pipe. The weird position he ended up in. It looked like he's okay. But Emig is starting to click off a little bit quicker laps, looks a lot more comfortable each lap. And like I said at the start of this race, this could be a blessing. Keep him loosened up, give him more track time, because he's certainly in shape. This shouldn't take much out of him for the main.
Three-way battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And of course, the top 5 would automatically go to the main event, get their transfer. But right now, there's some spirited action as Jeff Emig takes the checkered flag, winning his semifinal round. And a good effort from Damon Bradshaw, pushing him even further. 5 more riders avoid that pressure of the last chance qualifier. We go down to the victory podium next. 18 riders have now qualified for tonight's St. Louis Supercross. These are the last 5 out of our second semifinal round. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Yeah, we're going to find out from the man now himself whether or not David Bailey's comment was maybe running this semi was pretty good for you because it would keep you loose. I'm not so sure that it took a little extra out of you. Which way did we go here?
Well, I felt better that time, and I mean, I just have to think that my physical training is good enough right now that I can ride these races, you know, even though I'm hurt, and and still feel great. I mean, I've been having a really rough weekend. I had a rough go in that qualifier, with Bradshaw and him, squidding out. And I mean, but Kawasaki and Bridgestone, they got me here, and we're still in the points lead no matter how you look at it. And I mean, I'm here to win. That's what I'm here for.
Well, I got to ask you one thing, though. Are you going to go into this main event trying to win? Because your lap times are still slower than Jeremy McGrath in his heat race.
I know they are. I mean, but they're getting faster, and I'm loosening up, and my legs feeling better. So I don't know. I mean, main event's a different story. I'll be ready.
Well, guys, I think we just got the statement. The plug's going to get pulled when we get to the main.
Okay, Marty. The 1997 season is winding down from St. Louis. The Supercross Series visits the Pontiac Dome. And next, before going back to our second appearance then at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Round 14 is at Texas Stadium, and then the final will be held at Sam Boyd Stadium, the Silver Dome, or the Silver Bowl, I should say, in Las Vegas. The future superstars of Supercross, the 125 main event, is coming up next. As we leave you, let's take a look at this week's Honda Flashback.
In this week's Honda Flashback, we'll recap the most exciting race of the 1996 season. Jeff Emig grabbed the early lead again, followed by a fired-up Mike LaRocco, and the undefeated Jeremy McGrath was within striking distance. Watch LaRocco through this rhythm section with a hot line over the double jump. Looks like he makes the pass for the lead, but Emig shuts the door. And then LaRocco through the whoop section where he'd been strong all night, makes a last-ditch effort, but makes the mistake and drops to 3rd. And the battle was on. McGrath kept the pressure on Jeff Emig, taking the inside, taking the outside, but Emig never cracked. Rare mistakes like this from Jeremy allowed Emig enough breathing room to go on to be the first and only rider to defeat Jeremy in 1996, stopping his streak at 13.
While we were away, Mike Catton and Mike Jones. Mike Jones, a hair-splitting battle with Todd DeHoop, but they both qualified for the final 2 spots at the gate out of the last chance qualifier. Both Catton and Jones now getting a chance at the big purse money. The 125 East title chase has changed complexion since last week. John Dowd, trailing Tim Ferry by only 2 points, came into St. Louis, as seen on our Suzuki points list. And he suffered a practice track injury. Earlier in the week, he broke his hand. So number 22, Tim Ferry's chances of a 125 title are certainly looking up. Leading the points chase without a win on the season, Ferry would like a victory, but realizes he's got to play it smart.
leaving Pontiac, I want to already have the title wrapped up. That's the plan. That way I don't have to worry about going to the last race. But I'm just going to try to be consistent, and hopefully, you know, I'll pull off a win or two before the series over and win the championship for Suzuki.
Number 70, Ricky Carmichael, still has an outside shot at the title. He came into his rookie Supercross season looking for more of a learning experience than a title chase.
I want to win as much as I can, but if not, I mean, it's no big deal. Like you said, it's just my learning year, and I don't have to win, but it is nice to, you know, and hopefully I can pull off a couple more wins yet.
Ricky's professional debut was a humbling experience. The 17-year-old who dazzled the amateur ranks, breaking all kinds of win records, learned more than he wanted after 2 crashes in a 19th place. So an unlucky break for Ricky Carmichael in his first full season of Supercross, banging into the back of Sellers. But embarrassment is not a permanent part of this kid's personality. Confidence in his ability is. Checkers! Ricky Carmichael, Pro Circuit Kawasaki.
I needed to get my confidence level up because after last weekend, I thought it was going to be forever until I won one.
The skeptics also learned not to underestimate this 17-year-old. Having the body more suitable for a big boy hamburger ad, he was tabbed early as the fast food in and outie of the decade.
After Daytona, I took some time off. I cased a triple jump there, and I've just been training, trying to stay off my cheeseburger diet, eating some grilled chicken instead.
A brilliant ride at Daytona, getting up off the ground in last, finishing 6th, followed by his second win in Orlando, remarkably gives him an outside shot at the points race.
If I was able to win the next 3 races, there is a possibility that I could win the championship, but I'm not looking at it as points because I don't want it to distract me. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing.
This roller coaster ride of brilliance mixed with inexperience has been translated into wins and self-inflicted destruction. It has all added up to becoming the most exciting young rider in Supercross today. Carmichael has learned well not to put pressure on himself. Hence, David Bailey, he's having a ball as we look at the Suzuki starting grid.
He sure seems to be having a ball. Of course, anytime you're winning, it's always a lot more fun. And I don't know if it's such a surprise to him to be winning so soon or not, but he's certainly come up just the way we saw Rick Johnson, Ron Lachine, Bob Hanna, those guys came onto the scene and started winning right away, and Carmichael is doing the same. We haven't seen that in quite a while. I don't think his height, we've talked about that, seems to matter. Every place on the racetrack, this section he's taking a good look at right now, you would expect to be a little bit of a hindrance for him because his legs are a little shorter, but that's where he's the best. He's got great timing.
Having some problems in the preliminary qualifying.
Well, he just didn't get off to a very good start, but as the laps wore on, he got a little bit more comfortable, a little quicker. The only other guy that looks like he's got the speed to do something about number 70 is number 112, Ron Cotta, who they're lined up next to each other doing a start. Ron Cotta looked really fast in his heat. He's actually a little quicker than Carmichael.
Carmichael winning 2 of the 4 races, Marty Reed.
Well, you know, the thing that sort of stuck out in my mind, and it's been the early trademark of Ricky Carmichael's career, if he gets the lead right off the start, gets the whole shot, he pretty much controls the race. But this track is getting chewed up, especially down in the whoop section, and he has a tendency to press when he comes off the gate and he has to play catch-up. And I'm just wondering if that might cause him to have a mistake and open the door for somebody else.
Certainly could. You see him getting some words from Chad, his mechanic. If they can just keep this kid, I mean, basically when the gate drops, it's like turning him loose. And he gets over anxious, and I don't know if he realizes how fast he is, but he could just afford to take it a little easy in those first few laps, let things sort themselves out, and there's plenty of time in the remaining 11 or 12 laps or so for him to work his way to the front. Ferry making sure there's no specks of dirt in his goggles. Sometimes what happens right there is you put them on, a little bit of dirt or sand can fall off from underneath your visor and get in there, and you don't realize it until you go off the first jump. And it's certainly going to end up in your eyes.
44,012 fans here in St. Louis await the start of the 125 main event. Ron Cotta, Carmichael, Deegan, Sellers, Skaggs, Schnell. He's had some good runs lately. Scott Cheek of Team Honda. Jeff DeMett, Tim Ferry, Paul Curry, and the 30 board is sideways. The gate will drop anytime now. Let's see who gets the $500 for the whole shot award. Carmichael in a good spot, number 70. But it's number 34 who will get The $500, a privateer Barry Karsten. He can put that to good use.
Well, Carmichael
is in second place. Excuse me, David, as Carmichael just takes off.
Well, he didn't miss that hole shot money by more than a couple of inches, but look what's already happened. He's got himself a nice lead. He was the only 125 able to do that triple the first lap. And big problems for Ferry. Dead last now.
Ferry. Oh, more problems on this St. Louis track. Ferry going down in the corner after the triple. And he has got a long way to go. Carmichael now into the second set of whoops. Headed toward the finish line to finish up the first lap of action as Ferry fights from behind in last place.
It almost looked as though as Carmichael just came into our frame over the jump, he looked to his left and he would see Ferry going down that other straightaway, realize he's all the way in last.
This is the break Carmichael needs to cinch up and move up on that points race. Number 70. So fast in the last race. That was in Orlando, Florida. He was getting the same times as the 250 riders. He was just... I've never seen such a fast 125 rider, to be honest with you.
It was amazing, and there's yellow flags flying everywhere. A couple of riders have gone down, including Scott Sheik. So now they got to roll each of these jumps. There's Sheik laying there.
DeHaan, Curry, and Dement, three riders not used to being in the top five.
Look at the way Carmichael just floats his way. He just looks at the track and realizes, okay, I want to miss that bump, and I want to miss those two as well, and he hops over them. Looks like he's on a different racetrack than everybody else.
You know, this is going to set up a great scene for Pontiac. And then Charlotte, North Carolina, the final two races of the 125 Eastern Points race, as Ferry is going to do all he can to pick up as many points as he can.
Ron Cotta now starting to go to work on Dement, goes for the triple. Then he almost puts Dement up in the hay bales, and Brock Sellards, his first week on a full factory pro circuit bike, starting to work his way into the picture.
Doug DeHaan is right in front of Rakana now in third spot.
Sellards rode good in his heat race. Ron Cotta caught these guys, made quick work of them. Still pretty far behind Carmichael.
Carmichael's got a 10-second lead on these guys. Dement goes to the inside.
Wow, that was amazing. He slid the back end up in there to make that block pass. Sellards knew it was coming. Pulled the clutch in not to stall the engine. It just sat there for a split second. If he'd have tried to go, he would have gone down. The same thing we saw earlier with Bradshaw and Emig in the heat.
55-second lap time for Carmichael.
That's not even as fast as he can go. He doesn't have anybody really pressing. Look at Sellards going for the triple, making that pass. It's a lot tougher for the 125s this week. If you can get over it, you're going to make the pass.
Well, Carmichael's second week win last week has put him definitely into this points race. He is 19 points in back of Ferry with the 3 races left. Now he needs some help from some others, and the misfortunes of Ferry, like we've seen here tonight, to really get him a pillar of strength to get in there and battle it out. Carmichael, Schnell, Ron Cotta, DeHaan, and Sellards are top 5.
There's Ron Cotta heading towards the finish line jump, hunting down Greg Schnell. His pace should carry him up there. He just went around that corner a lot faster than we saw Ricky Carmichael get around there.
The 125 main race to the checkers continues. The less compression you put on the suspension, the less rebound you get. In rutted jumps, try to relax and head for the shallowest rut. Also keep your feet a little further back in the foot pegs toward the balls of your feet to avoid dragging your toes on the ground. In most cases, jumping with the front end low is more effective. If the front is too high, you have to wait for it to land before you make the turn or get ready for the next obstacle. All you have to do to jump it low is to put more weight on the front end as you leave the ground, allowing the rear to rebound more. Another technique, if the front end is still too high once you're in the air, you can pull in the clutch and tap on the rear brake, hard or softer depending on how drastic a change you want. That's today's Suzuki riding tip. Welcome back to the Trans World Dome in St. Louis. The 125 main event is underway. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as Stefan Roncada, number 112, is trying to pick up the pace to catch Schnell in second place.
You can see how close he's gotten already. Just in these whoop sections, he makes up a lot of time. Look at his timing through there. Actually came up just a little bit short. If he would have been able to get over that one more bump, he'd hop all the way out. Makes up a lot of time right there. And I don't think he's, oh, Carmichael's gone down, so that's going to be a big boost.
Trying to restart. He still has such a big lead that he still has a 5-second lead.
No, he's dropped 2 spots.
That's right, that's right. My correction.
Now he's taking the outside through the first corner. He's jumping over all 3 of those jumps, but as the berm starts, it's very abrupt. He was over about a foot wider that time. Front wheel got caught into the beginning of that berm, almost like the face of another jump. Down he went.
So as we pick up the action, number 70, Carmichael, is in 3rd. He's behind Roncada. Roncada making a pass. Roncada moves into the lead of the whoop section. Here comes Carmichael. They've got Schnell on the inside.
Oh, this is going to be a great race.
Cuts inside. Carmichael in 2nd place. Roncada, who had a faster qualifying heat time than Carmichael, is out in front, number 112.
Schnell tried to make it a little tougher for Carmichael to get up to that finish line jump. He just threaded the needle there, but when he made the pass on Schnell in that corner before the whoops, looked like he made up his mind about halfway through the turn. Yeah, I think I'll take the inside here and cut him off, and it worked.
Carmichael leaping over that triple, picking up space on Roncada. Roncada, who lives just about an hour from Nice, France, in southern France. Nice smooth style from Stefan, who didn't expect a whole lot out of his first season here in the U.S. Supercross. Focus, look ahead. Chad Watts telling his rider, Ricky Carmichael. Ricky Carmichael, I don't think was going to race this many races in his first Supercross season, but his effectiveness was so apparent that they just had to put him in.
Now, when you get a kid this fast, like I said, when the gate drops, it's like turning him loose. Bike's taking him for a ride to that whoop section that time. Kind of reminds me of seeing Hannah in the early days, a little bit out of control, made some mistakes and went down, but when he was upright, he was fast.
2.5-second lead, Roncada over Carmichael.
Only going for the double, though. Carmichael triples it, closes right back up.
Ferry trying to grab every point he can, is now in 11th spot.
Roncada so solid in his heat race, didn't make any mistakes, actually a little quicker. Not every lap, but most of the laps a little quicker in the lap's time as well.
His mechanic giving him instructions as they go by. Roncada with a 3rd place in the first race of the year, a 5th, a 9th, and then a 6th place in Orlando. He had good battles with Ferry and Dowd as well as Sheet.
Now Carmichael that time has switched his line. He's starting to choose a little bit different lines. He knows that once he gets close enough to actually be putting the pressure on to make a pass, he's not going to be able to do it in the same line Roncada's in, so he's getting used to that now. Go left, go right, experiment around, so when he gets close to the end of this race, he'll have somewhere to make his move, and the lap riders can play a major role in that as well.
The mechanic's busy, putting instructions down on the pit board. Right now, the riders know what they have to do.
Well, they do, but it also helps to know how many minutes are left. You completely lose track of where you are in the race. Earlier in the series at LA, Lusk didn't realize he only had a couple laps to go. Otherwise, he really felt like he could have made the pass on Henry.
Oh, Carmichael with a great leaping move. Roncada, though, puts him down. Carmichael trying a little bit too hard right there, and Roncada had great position.
Well, all he did was just move over just an inch or two and hold his line. Carmichael had nowhere to go. He rode the hay bales all the way down that straightaway. Watch him. He's gonna come down right on a hay bale. Then he goes over this next double, lands on another hay bale. Then Roncada just says, nope, not here. Had nowhere to go but on his head.
So Roncada, with good strong strategy, has failed to crack under the pressure from the young phenom, Ricky Carmichael.
There's a lot of pressure, too, especially when you got a guy that's trying to take a foot of racetrack and make a pass on it. All he did was hold his line. Luckily, it didn't tangle handlebars. And when came down off this triple right here, the last lap, Roncada didn't go for it. That's what set all that up.
Stefan Roncada just doing a great job. He came back after the 125 East break and probably didn't work out as much as he should. He had a birthday party over in France and so forth, and then came back and really didn't perform as well as he expected to in the last race in Orlando. Let's go down to Marty Reed. Marty.
Yeah, we're down here with Sean Persinger. He's looking for a sign. He says, your track, 5 laps. Your boy's doing everything right now.
Yeah, he's making a couple small mistakes, but unfortunately the guys behind him are too. Right now he's just got to be smart and get through the lappers as soon as he can. We got 5 laps to go, and he's riding pretty strong right now, so I think everything might go in our favor.
Well, he's coming by right now, and he'll get the signal. It's your track, Stefan.
Ron Cotta looking for his first win here on the American Supercross Tour in first place. And the field summary coming up. It is Schnell in second place, looking for his best finish, as is Brock Sellards. Doug DeHaan and Brian Deegan has moved into the top 5.
Ron Cotta heading in. You can see the ruts starting to develop in the face of all these jumps. Going to be worse for the 250s coming up next. Schnell riding a solid race. Maintains a pretty good lead over Sellards still. Just a lonely second place right now, but if you're going to be lonely, second's not a bad place to be.
What's going to be interesting to see is the points battle between Carmichael and Ferry.
Well, Carmichael really did go for it a little early there. I think when he started to do that, jump the triple and try to make a pass, he didn't think that he was going to run out of room the way he did. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have just held back right there and taking his chance somewhere else. Ferry continues to work his way up from behind, but remember at the beginning he was dead last. A long way to go.
Ferry with 4 second-place finishes on the year. It's only happened one time that a 125 title has been won by a rider who did not win a race during the regular season. And it's been some time since that's happened.
Well, Ferry has a great shot at winning the series, no doubt about that. But he's got to get some.
It was 10 years ago that Willie Surratt won the 125 West without a victory, and that's the only time that has ever happened. Can Carmichael continue to close the gap in the 125 East points race? We'll have those answers in a moment. Schnell coming across the line in second place. Well, we'll get a look at the official top 10 results and a word or two from those on the victory podium next. As we take a look at Ricky Carmichael, number 70, who coming in this race was trying to catch up with Tim Ferry in the points race. The brilliant lead, the battle for the lead now with Stefan Roncada, number 112. Carmichael overextends himself, goes into the hay bales, and the 17-year-old Stefan Roncada has captured the 125 St. Louis event. We take a look at those riders placing in the top 10. Let's go down to Marty Reed, who's with our winner.
Yes, a very happy Stefan Roncada down here in Victory Lane. And this was a battle for survival out there. A lot of contact, especially with the track. A lot of guys going down.
Oh yeah, you know, I did a very bad start. I saw all the guys falling in front of me, and I was lucky that Carmichael fell, so I can took the lead. And after I did a good race, and I'm very happy to finish first. And I mean, that was my dream, and tonight I'm so happy.
So, your first Supercross victory, is it everything you expected?
Yes and no, you know, I really wanted to finish first, but I wasn't sure because Carmichael is fast and the other riders are very fast also. So I'm very happy to finish first at this race. I prove I can go fast as them.
I think in France you're allowed to drink champagne at age 17, aren't you?
I love champagne when I win.
Yeah, well, here you can only spray it, buddy. You're underage in this country. Good, congratulations. Good job.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank all my sponsors on the track, Sinistador, Oakley, Pro Circuit. I want to thank Terry Kyo and Phil Adeton for helping me, and Tom, my chiropractor, and Gary Samis. Thanks to all those guys that are very nice with me.
Congratulations. Stefan Roncada, your winner at 125.
As we take a look at the Suzuki top 5 point standings, Ferry still holding on to the points lead as Roncada is winning that battle against Sheik and Carmichael in the points race. The celebration is underway now for the 125s, and the run for the big bucks. The 250s are coming up next.
Wish you were sending more putts than money down the drain? Then your best bet is the amazing Tour-proven Teardrop Putter. Why? First, the unique roll face design eliminates skidding and allows you to control the roll for the purist in golf. Second, the perfectly balanced head stays absolutely square to the ball during the putting stroke. Third, the Aerofin design guards against stubbing, especially on those tough fringe lines. You want proof? Ask Hawaiian Open winner Brett Ogle.
I couldn't have done it without Teardrop. It's helped tremendously. Teardrop is my putter.
Call the number on your screen to have the Teardrop in your bag for 3 easy payments of $39.90.
Missouri. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman and David Bailey up top. And, David, we've had great drama in all of the previous 10 rounds so far this year. And I have a feeling the way things have formed up out of the qualifying rounds that we're going to see another great drama come in the main event. Jeremy McGrath looked very, very strong in the qualifying. Jeff Emig is not up to par physically.
No, you can see it on his face, too. He doesn't have that usual smile, kind of smart-alecky confidence. And he's definitely struggling. Had to go to the semi after that incident with Bradshaw, and he talked like he was looser. And he knows the main event's a different story. He gets great starts, and he'll be able to get that start from anywhere.
Ezra Lusk coming off the greatest victory of his young career last week, but he's riding hurt.
Well, we just had a shot of him down on the starting line while they were doing their parade lap, and normally these guys are jumping up and down and warming up, and he's just sitting there with his stare like, how am I going to do this with this much pain, especially coming off a win? He has expectations of doing it again and perhaps be on the podium, but it's going to be a tough night for him.
LaRocco and Hughes, they're both hungry for victories.
LaRocco was a part of the spoiler that helped Emig to get his first win here and interrupt Jeremy's streak, and he didn't look good in the heat or in the semi, really, but the main is always, as Emig would say, a different story, and LaRocco does good on this type of soil.
Emig by 9 points as we check out our Suzuki point standings over McGrath. Ward in line for that Privateer Honor of the Year, moving into third. Lusk with the big jump into fourth. And Marty Reed, we've got everything set up, and most everything has gone well tonight. We've stayed out of any elevators that might get stuck, and you know, we're both ready for a great main event, huh?
Now we have to educate some of our fans who weren't with us a year ago. I mean, this was a monumental event. I mean, this is where Jeremy McGrath lost his streak to Jeff Emig, and it was also where our good buddy David Bailey got stuck in the elevator and barely made it to the broadcast. Now, that elevator has been dedicated by head football coach of the Rams, Dick Vermeil, with David Bailey's name on it, and he's going to use it for Lawrence Phillips every time he gets in trouble.
What a thrill for Ezra Lusk last weekend, winning his first 250 Supercross. It was also a big relief after so much hard work.
Well, it's like letting a lot of air out of you, you know. It's like when you cross that checkered flag, it's more of that than anything else. I mean, I was pretty happy, but gosh, it was just a really, really good feeling. And me and AGV had made that deal to give away my helmet after every podium finish, and I've been able to do that 3 times this year. So it's a really good thing for those guys and for me.
Ezra didn't know the young child he gave his helmet to. He said he picked him out of the crowd because he was one of the few too shy to ask for it. We take a look at our Suzuki starting grid here tonight.
I think Ryan Hughes, number 9 in there, sure looked good in his heat. Larry Ward keeping the pressure on Bradshaw. Albertine back after that crash. It's hard to believe that he's with a chipped bone floating around in there, that he's back on the line. And Robbie Raynard moving up to the 250s. Looked good in the beginning of that heat race, but looked like he just played things smart, and he's lined up again in the same exact place. All the way on the inside as we look at McGrath starting it up.
McGrath, his goal really is to finish ahead of Emig every race. If, like last week's, second for McGrath and third for Emig happens in the next 4 races, Emig would be ahead by 1 point going into the final race. So that's how close this points battle could get. Let's see what Jethro, with his entire family, his grandmother, watching him race for the first time ever. His uncles, his aunts, his father, his brother, everybody's here to watch him double up on victories in St. Louis. His family, of course, from down the river a bit in Kansas City. Jeremy McGrath getting ready. This is one Jeremy wants desperately. This is one that can spring him back into the tight race. The board is sideways. Let's see who gets the $1,000 1-800-PRO Race Whole Shot Award. They're off and running. McGrath and Emig right together. McGrath gets the $1,000. He stays in front of Emig. McGrath, Emig, Bradshaw, Larry Ward, Mike LaRocco in that order. Here comes Emig. Look out, Jeremy. taking the inside.
Unbelievable. Look at this.
Oh, what a battle, David Bailey. Emig hopping into first place.
Emig takes a gamble, times those jumps a little different. It worked out better in the end, and a good start for LaRocco. Pretty good start, better than usual. Jeremy tries to slam the door. Emig almost lands on the hay bale, hangs onto the lead.
Emig, McGrath, Ward, and Albertine has moved into fourth place now, with Buddy Antonez in fifth. There's Jeremy Albrecht, Emig's mechanic. Very tense as he looks out there and sees his rider in first place. What a great jump by this young man, number 3, Jeff Emig. Here comes Jeremy once again.
Right now, whatever pain he does have, he doesn't care about.
Oh, Jeremy McGrath with the black pass. What a great battle. Here comes Larry Ward in third. Jeremy to the inside. Shuts the door on Emig.
It's a nice design by the track builders to try to create different lines for these guys. They're already working. Passes back and forth. Emig's mechanic yelling at him, get this guy back. Don't let him boss you around like that. It's going to come down to physical battles. The points this close, this many races left.
Emig coming through the whoops. Oh, they're starting to run up.
Larry Ward really starting to become a pest to Emig.
Here's our field summary. McGrath, Emig, Ward, Albertine, and Antonez. It stayed pretty much the same with Jimmy Button behind Albertine, now moving in front of Antonez. LaRocco is behind Antonez. But right now, Jeremy McGrath is starting to pull a lead.
He is starting to pull away. The last lap he did was 52.5 seconds. Just as quick as he was in the heat race. Emig has got to focus on Jeremy. Stay with him. Even if he gets second, that's not devastating. That'd be a real salvage of the weekend for how he's feeling. He's got to keep these two guys from getting around him. If they do, he's going to give more and more points to McGrath.
Jeremy McGrath looking to gain 3 points at least on Jeff Emig if he can hold on to this lead in that points race. That would take it down to a 6-point Emig lead going to the next round. Larry Ward is finding some pressure from Albertine from behind. Number 6 is Ward. Number 8 is Albertine. He touches the rear wheel. Ward looking back to see who's there.
You gotta wonder what Albertine has to prove here. Working his way up, putting a lot of pressure on Ward. He can get back around Ward in the point standings. He handed that spot away when he didn't ride the main event in Orlando, so he's trying to work his way back in there, put Suzuki.
Ezra Lusk is in 9th, battling with LaRocco, and passes LaRocco. LaRocco is going backwards.
Well, he started off great. He had a good start, and I think the pace is just a lot different when you start up front. Pace is quicker. It takes a while to get into that rhythm.
Let's go to Marty Reed.
Yeah, we're down here with Ian Harrison, Greg Albertine's mechanic, and after last week's crash, this is a great run going so far.
I didn't hear a thing you said.
I said after last week's crash, this is a great run going right now.
Yeah, it is. It's really early in the race, and he didn't get to practice much or train much, so I hope his fitness holds up.
Ian Harrison.
Okay, Larry Ward and Albertine still battling it out.
Larry Ward.
Number 3 is Emig.
Once again, getting another good start. Larry Ward's starts haven't been quite as good as Emig, but they've been about the next to best thing. Normally, he's just able to hang tight with these guys. And towards the end, he starts to make a few mistakes, and looks like he settles for a 3rd or a 4th. But this week, he's putting the pressure on Emig.
You saw Jeremy McGrath. He's already lapped his first rider. That was Kevin Crine. And Jeremy now is moving out as Emig in 2nd, Ward in 3rd, Albertine in 4th. Button in 5th. Lusk is moved up to 6th. Antonez in 7th. LaRocco in 8th. And it's Robbie Raynard in 9th. Bradshaw has slipped back to 10th. And Hughes is in 11th.
For Emig right here, he's just trying to protect 2nd place. Ward and Albertine having their little duel. Really keeping the pressure on. No following. Telling Larry Ward, don't follow. Go to the left, go to the right, take a different line, but get by Emig, go after McGrath. Get this number 8, Albertine, off your tail.
Ward moving into 3rd in the points last week due to consistent single-digit finishes.
front of these guys, McGrath is just riding flawless, pulling away about a second a lap. He's already gone out of the picture around the first corner. These guys can't even see him from most of their vantage points on the track.
He's 6 seconds ahead of Larry Ward.
When they go off this triple, they see Jeremy coming the other way. They can gauge it there and in the mechanics area. When they get their split, they can see that he's just pulling away.
You know, Lusk must be feeling better. He's starting to put on a real charge. Is right up the back of Jimmy Button.
Well, Larry Ward's mechanic is going to be happy with what he sees. Larry goes by. He's already moved up a spot ahead of Emick. See if he can close the gap to Jeremy.
We'll be back with more 250 action from St. Louis after this. Jeremy McGrath is our leader. Welcome back to the Trans World Dome in St. Louis. We see Jimmy Button and Ezra Lusk. Lusk is in 5th position, make it 6th position. Button is in 5th.
Jimmy Button working his way through that corner, goes all the way to the outside in the first turn so he can jump the 3 of those bumps. Totally different line. And it works. It's a faster line, but if you got Lusk breathing down your neck as you enter that corner, all he's got to do is come right across the inside, steal the line away from you. It'll be interesting to see what he does the next time around.
You know, as we look out front to see Jeremy McGrath, number 1, just pulling away, coming off that triple, going into the whoop section, it is significant that Larry Ward is between him and Emick. That would be a 5-point pickup for Jeremy, not just a 3.
Right, and it would move it from a 6-point lead down to a 4-point lead if things stayed the way they were. Where they are, rather, and Albertine has started to fade just a little bit. Few mistakes. Not sure if he dropped it somewhere, but he lost a lot of time in that lap. Now this battle of Button and Lusk right on the rear fender of Albie.
That looks like it's the real battle right now of the race.
Watch Lusk to the inside.
Lusk coming to the inside. They're whipping these laps off.
That wasn't smart that time for Button to go wide. I know that line is fast. It's been working, but not when you got somebody on your tail like that. He should have known that Lusk was there. Maybe he doesn't want to have to deal with Lusk right now, and he can drop that spot and hopefully get a second win, learn a little bit, and make a strong push at the end.
12 laps to go in this main event from St. Louis, Missouri. Jeremy McGrath is well out in front of Larry Ward. McGrath looking for his very first win here in St. Louis. This is only the 2nd race here in St. Louis for the Supercross action. Last year, Jeff Emming, of course, upsetting Jeremy McGrath for McGrath's only loss on the season. Emming now finds himself in 3rd behind Larry Ward. Here's the battle as for Lusk, taking to the inside on number 8.
So Lusk is riding with bruised ribs, having a tough time to breathe. Getting through here, putting together a pretty nice race. He's going to move up a little bit in the points chase.
Jeremy McGrath out front has not been able to pull a lead on Larry Ward in 2nd place. He's still 5 to 5.5 seconds out in front. Here is our leader going back into the whoop section.
It looks like he's moved over just a little bit from the rut. There's a rut. There's 2 of them, actually, all the way through that section. And although you don't have to hit the bumps as much, you got to worry about staying in that rut, too. Jeremy's moved over about a foot. And he's gotten through there clean every time.
In total contrast to Larry Ward and Emming, who went the opposite direction.
You can see Albertine, his feet coming off. As soon as your bike sinks down to that rut, the foot pegs get close to the ground. Albertine is down.
Good shot of our camera work right there as Albertine in good position to gain more points, goes down here in St. Louis.
Ryan Huffman.
Lusk, this is a great break for Lusk, though. No pressure, really. He's in 3rd place. Let's take another look at this one, David.
Well, he's trying to jump over the last 3. You can see he's already starting to lean into the corner, and as soon as that bike cased it, or in other words, the engine cases and the frame rails caught the top of that 3rd jump, just high-sided him, threw him off the other side, and more bad news for Albertine.
Marty Reed, we've got a 6-second lead for Jeremy McGrath, number 1.
Yeah, and I'm down here with Wyatt Seals, and he is really on cruise control. He's running 53, 53 and a half, and we saw him go 52 in the heat race. You got to be real happy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm really happy Larry's in 2nd. You know, I don't expect Jeff to let up, but right now we got about 5 seconds on Larry. If we can hold that, I mean, that's all we got to do. It'd be great.
Well, we talked about this, and everything seemed to be going your guys' way this weekend, and so far, so good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hate the fact that Jeff, you know, got injured. I'd like to see a heads-up race, you know, between these guys. I mean, of course, I want Jeremy up top, but I hated that Jeff got hurt.
We got to let him go back to work. His guy's coming around. In fact, he just went by.
Oh, boy, this could tighten things up for the 250 points championship. Jimmy Button in 5th, Ezra Lusk in 4th.
Actually, it looks as though that Larry Ward has closed the gap just a little bit on Jeremy. You'll see him coming the other way. There they go. Emig starting to put the pressure on Ward. Ward's picked up the pace. Jeremy, it's not over yet. Although he's got about a 5.5-second lead, it's not getting any bigger, and it's going to get tougher when they get into lapped riders.
I'm impressed with Larry Ward.
Me too. He's riding a great race. At this point is when the pressure of Emig and Lusk and whoever else, LaRocco, whoever it's been during the weeks, is really starting to get the best of him. And rather than make a big mistake and go down, he's playing it smart.
Ward with 2/3 on the year, and this could be his best finish of the season. Marty Reed's with Marshall Plum.
Yeah, guys, and here's the signboard going out. It says, think you're strong, and he is maintaining about a 5-second margin. Marshall, does he have anything left with about 7.5 laps to go?
I think so. I think he's just going to pace himself a little bit here, and, you know, we got a couple seconds on Emick, and just got to kind of stay relaxed. The last 6 laps coming up, and I think we can finish second. Maybe if Jeremy makes a mistake, we can close in on him.
Marshall Plum.
Anything can happen, as we found out in Phoenix. McGrath in the lead, and usually when he gets the lead, we're accustomed to having him win. But McGrath went down, and Emig was right there in 2nd place to take the victory.
Right, Jeremy has got to keep riding flawless. Although he's got that lead, he needs to keep pushing forward. As soon as you start to protect the lead or ride a little different, change your pace, as we get the Honda stopwatch up there again to get a lap time on Jeremy and the split, you start to ride a little differently. You start to hit things at a different pace. Emig has worked his way back around Larry Ward. They're about 8 seconds behind Jeremy now.
Oh, there's a battle going on, and Emig, I think, was pacing himself physically and decided now's the time to move up a notch.
Well, now, if anything does happen to Jeremy, Emig is within striking distance, but I don't think he's close enough to keep any kind of pressure on Jeremy. Jeremy can run those 53s all night long. As long as he's got this lead over him, I don't think he'd be too concerned.
Well, in 6 laps, if it stays like this, Jeremy McGrath has his 45th career Supercross victory. It would be his 2nd of the season, and it would narrow that points lead down to 4 points, or maybe less.
It's getting tight. It's no fun being in a points battle like this unless you're the guy in the lead when it's all over with. There you get the lap time of McGrath. I don't think that reflects the fastest he can go. He knows he's got a good lead, and he's just pacing himself. If Emig starts to get closer, a couple laps in a row, picks up time, Jeremy will pick up the pace.
Ezra Lusk, number 11. He was hurting after crashes in practice. Our field summary: McGrath, Emig, Ward, Lusk, LaRocco. And if it stays this way, McGrath would be down by 6 points.
And Lusk just hopped through that whoop section a little bit quicker than anybody, faster than anybody on the racetrack. If he keeps that timing, it's going to carry him to the back door of Larry Ward's. I think they're about the same everywhere else on the track, but that one section before the finish, Lusk is awesome.
Into the corkscrew rhythm section as we change shots from Jeremy McGrath to Mike LaRocco. LaRocco headed for triple number 1.
This is about where he started, 4th, 5th. It's hard to tell in all the scrambling, but he had a great start. Those opening laps, he just loses so much time. Now he's worked his way back up to where he started from. Problem is, all those guys are gone now. Nobody to race with.
Ezra Lusk and Jeff Emig are putting in courageous appearances. Marty Reed.
Yeah, I'm down here with Lusk mechanic Steve Butler. I thought your guy would fade as this race went on, but he's charging.
Yeah, actually, he started out kind of terrible, but he's the most aggressive guy on the track right now, it seems. So I think he can maybe catch Larry and maybe work on Jeff.
We got about 3.5 laps to go, guys. We'll see.
And the interesting battle there is Lusk is battling Ward for 3rd place in the point system as they come down. And big money at the end of the season, thanks to Pace Motorsports. Larry Ward and Ezra Lusk battling it out for the big bucks. Lusk to the inside. Ezra Lusk. He's in the 3rd.
Good ride for Lusk. It looks like to me just opposites right now. Lusk is getting stronger, and Larry Ward's starting to fade just a little bit. Still a good ride for Ward, but sure would like to see him stay up there all the way to the end. Maybe the difference between a factory bike and a semi-factory bike, it's hard to say, but Larry Ward every week Such a strong ride, so quick in the early lap, putting pressure on the leaders. He's led some races this year, but just hasn't been able to put it together in those last 4 or 5 laps.
Less than 4 laps remaining. You've got to hand it to Jeremy McGrath, who got the lead away from Emig in a terrific battle earlier and has just pulled away. But you also have to give credit to Emig and Ezra Lusk, who are riding courageously with injuries.
Now they know what it feels like to be Ryan Hughes or Mike LaRocco. It seems like those guys are always riding with some kind of an injury. And for McGrath, it's just amazing. This guy is all that he's been through with, you know, we've talked about it before, but the switch to Suzuki, there were so many factors. And through it all, without the wins like he had last season, struggling from poor starts, had some clutch problems earlier in the season, stays healthy and moves ever closer to the championship, his 5th consecutive if he can pull it off.
Bradshaw moving up through the ranks now. And so is LaRocco. Bradshaw with a pretty good ride going there.
Blitzing through that corner, working his way through the whoop section up to the finish line jump. Look at all the ruts in that jump now.
Less than 3 laps to go for Jeremy McGrath. Emig is right there, playing opportunist if something should happen to the leader. Jeff Emig, though, coming from behind.
Right here, you just keep the pressure on. Keep going as fast as you can. Lusk is coming. He's got to realize that Lusk isn't that far behind, so he's not out of the woods either.
What's it like riding with a groin injury?
Well, fortunately, I don't know. I never had one, but I can imagine it's pretty painful. You see they're getting down to the plywood in that little berm right there, but Emig seems to be handling it no problem.
White flag lap. Final lap for Jeremy McGrath.
Very different from last year's final lap. Emig in the lead, Jeremy trying everything he could try to get around.
Acknowledging to the fans, McGrath, no one has ever come from so far back to win a title should Jeremy win the title this year. He had a 15th in the opening round at Los Angeles. The furthest someone has come back after a poor first round to win a championship was Jeff Stanton in 1990 when he took a 7th place. But right now, Jeremy McGrath is closing the points gap on Jeff Emig.
Definitely going to cut it down. Emig did a good job last week by getting around a couple of riders in the closing stages and working his way back up into 2nd here. He's only going to lose 2 points.
Jeremy McGrath, his 2nd win of the year, his 45th career victory in Supercross. The winningest rider in Supercross history keeps piling them up. His 2nd win, probably not quite the relief the first win was, but I'll bet he's just as happy right now. We'll take a look at those point standings when we come back to St. Louis. With Mike LaRocco moving into the top 5. And as we take a look now at the 6 through 10, let's go down to Marty Reed.
All right, we're down here with Jeff Emig, and Jeremy's coming up here. Let's get both these guys up here. Come on over. We're live. We're hot. Come on, get on this side. First, let's congratulate you because I know you wanted this one from last year. Also, you were in control the whole way. You win the 1-900 Pro race money, and I know that's going to be donated to the Clayton Foundation for Injured Riders, and I know you're happy about that. You got to be pretty ecstatic tonight.
Yeah, you know, tonight was all around good race for me. You know, I got some good starts, 2 good starts tonight. My Suzuki was working excellent. You know, without the combination of Suzuki Troy, Suzuki Fox Racing, Alpine Stars, Bell Helmets, 1-800 Collect, Spy, No Fear. I mean, everyone couldn't have got that.
You were on cruise control, and you've got the $1,000 check now in front of you already. You were on cruise control the whole time today. It seemed like everything was going your way, like you were dialed.
Yeah, I was really smooth. You know, I got sick this week. I didn't ride much and kind of just took it easy, relaxed. And I think it helped. You know, out on the track, I was really relaxed. My bike was working excellent. And, you know, I just had to pick the right lines, and it went good.
You did what you had to do. You finished ahead of Emig again. The points race tightens.
Yeah, I need to finish ahead of Jeff. Jeff rode a good race. He doesn't give up. He doesn't let off. And, you know, I have to push it to get around him, and that's what I'm going to have to do, it looks like.
All right, let's switch over to the guy who made a courageous effort to come out and take off where you left off. I mean, as far as the injury was concerned, I didn't think you'd even, after first practice, I did not think you were going to make it through the main, and here you end up second. So you got to feel like this was a major triumph.
Well, I do think it was, and I'd like to thank Rick Harris for helping me out, and also everybody on Team Kawasaki, because I mean everybody gathered together to help me out, put all their knowledge together. And, I mean, my leg this morning, I mean, it hurt. I mean, I'll be honest with you, right now, I mean, I feel fine, but the whole thing, I just was kind of drained the whole time, and you know, I went out and I tried to ride, you know, the beginning of the race the best I could, and Jeremy was just really strong, but I felt really good at the end, and that's what makes me the happiest.
After that first practice, I could see the doubt in your eye, and then right before the main, when I talked to you, you had that confidence factor back, like, you know, you were going to do okay. You didn't know if you could win, maybe not even second, but you knew you were going to score good points.
Yeah. So I'm real happy with second this weekend. I mean, I just gave it my best. You know, ever since I injured myself on Friday, I just kept my head up and I said, hey, you know, look, I got to ride. And the more that I rode, the better I felt. And I would like to thank Shift, Arnett, Sunglasses and Goggles, Shoei Helmets, Troy Lee Designs, Alpine Stars, Cytomax, Surf Cam, and I'd like to thank all my family and my dad and everybody for being here.
Yeah, Grandma was even here, guys. Shit, our first time to look at Jeff doing very well. Let's move over to third place, because another one of the injured list guys who comes through, and we were talking about, we thought you'd get a great start and fade, and you made liars out of all of us. You got a lousy start, and you charged.
Well, that was my plan, get that start. I figured I'd get tired not being able to breathe that good, but you know, just like last weekend, I got out there, made a few mistakes, had a few run-ins, got mad, and made a charge. You know, that's just the way it's win, and I'm really glad I got this race out of the way after getting that win last week. And I felt strong the whole way. I caught up to Jeff on the last lap, and I still got third, so that's a good finish for me. Podiums all the way.
Yeah, both of you got to be happy. I mean, he's happy with second after the injury. You're happy with third. I mean, it's probably the only time you guys are happy with second and third.
Yeah, I know he was hurting. I know I was hurting. And I bet we're both glad just to get this night over with.
Do me a favor. Get the ribs back to normal by next week, so you're not out there sucking any air.
Yeah, hey, I want to thank Gary Simmons for improving my strength all year, and Yamaha, you know, just thanks a lot, and they all did it for me. Bob Oliver, Keith McCarty, Steve Butler, and John R. The good Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me safe out there at Bristol and Sire, Scott USA, and Fox Racing.
Guys, that puts a button on it from down here.
As we take a look at the Suzuki top 5 point standings, Emig now has but a